Hi, it's Joanne. Today I'm going to be watching Tales of the Jedi Season 1, Episode 2, Justice. I'm very excited to get another snapshot into the world of the Jedi. Let's go. Who's it gonna be today? And I can't remember if I know who his Padawan is. I'm very sorry if I do. It's not a happy place.
Excuse me. Sorry to trouble you.
Very much not a happy place.
Where is the child?
Interesting.
Where are they holding the senator's son?
Ooh.
Why should we tell you? Jedi.
For now.
We are here to help resolve
The effects of his long-standing policies.
Okay.
With due respect,
Kidnapping his son is not the best
don't
way to go
like
about
him.
this.
Why not elect a new senator?
I wish it were that
The
simple.
Republic is corrupt. It's not the Empire, it's much better than that, but it still doesn't mean it's a
Perhaps
good
in the beginning,
system.
Senator Dagonet.
You're one of the kidnappers.
they all are.
All taking his son does is make you look like the bad guy in the story. I guess I don't know how else you're going to get intention enough to make a difference, but...
Your ordeal will soon be over.
It's not much of an ordeal. Not compared to how these people are living.
And
You don't blame them for abducting you.
What choice do they have?
But abducting you is still a little much.
The senator, he's here, and he's brought soldiers.
Of course he has.
Deceived us.
How shiny they all look.
She is hungry. Many would do the same.
Desperate people.
Jedi,
This is
arrest
so
these
interesting.
criminals and have them release
Because
my
it's
son
yet
at
another thing to
once.
show you how flawed the Republic
I'm
truly
afraid
was.
our investigation.
Guards!
Fuck. It's going great. Jedi peacemakers.
Step aside, Jedi.
We cannot.
Oof.
You serve the Senate.
No.
He's a Jedi,
We
they.
serve the people of this republic.
Aim!
Fuck.
Stand down.
It's so crazy to see him as a good Jedi. You know you're firing at the building your son is inside. If one of those bullets made it through the wall of the door, it could kill him. Fuck. Your father is not a good man. Like, if the Jedi weren't here and he just thought that and he could claim, oh, I genuinely thought my son was in danger. But the Jedi are people that you're supposed to trust, and they said he isn't. They're just desperate, stupid people. But someone's listening to them.
Destroy this town and make an example.
You already
of it.
have destroyed
And
it.
many others, Master Jedi.
Fuck.
Master!
Fuck. Not being such a good Jedi anymore.
Save your father.
What?
Go now. Corruption like yours must
Jesus
be
Christ.
eradicated.
No! Stop!
The red flags of the dark side are there. And I understand, when you see a corrupt, vile man like that, you want to destroy him. The person you become is worse than him.
How could you do this?
Yeah,
These are your people.
he's seen the truth of you now. Your master is not such a good Jedi. Maybe talk to someone about that.
I will not allow your suffering to continue.
Bless this
I
child.
promise.
I mean, in a democracy, like the Senate, a child should have, the child of the ruler should, the senator should have no power, but... It's a long
I wonder
road.
If any meaningful change will come of this. You're a much wiser man than I, Qui-Gon Jinn.
Oh!
Thanks to your teachings.
I think I did know that that was who his Padawan was. I was hoping he'd say whoever his name was to begin with. But of course I knew that. Somewhere in the recesses of my fogged brain, I knew who his Padawan was. Okay, this was a very interesting episode in a very different way to the first one. it was interesting in the sense that it kind of reinforced something that we've been seeing in Andor a little bit, but also I guess it's across a lot of the Star Wars media, is the fact that the Republic wasn't some shining perfect bastion of wonderfulness and equality, and everyone lived beautifully under it and everyone was treated well under it. There were a lot of flaws, and it did need reform and it did need change. And as so often can happen when that is the case, right-wing fascist people can come along and be like, I'm the change, look at me, and make it worse and take advantage of all the weaknesses, and before you know it, you're in an even worse state, and maybe they've fixed some of the problems you previously had, but the problems you have now are so much worse. And that is definitely what Palpatine did. It was the genius of his plan in so many ways. And what I think is particularly interesting from a character standpoint here is Dooku, because he came here, he was a Jedi, he had his Padawan, he seemed like he was saying all the right Jedi things, he assessed the situation, and like, he wasn't just a blind zealot soldier. He looked and he thought, well, you know, yeah, I'm here to stop the kidnappers and get the kid, but even the kid is like, this place is being mistreated, we've got to do something. So he stood up to the oppression of the senator, who was just wanting to come and execute all the kidnappers and take his kid back. To that point, you're like, you know, great Jedi. And then he started choking him with the Force. He didn't need to do it. It was a lot, like, he could have used the Force in a less violent way. He could have done it a tiny bit and then stopped. It is definitely a red flag when a Jedi starts going to that very, very quickly. Obviously, unless the Jedi is a traumatized child, that is a very different situation. When it's a grown man who, you know, does not need to be doing that. So I think the biggest, there were obviously red flags with Dooku, but I think it's so interesting because it almost seems like he sees the reality of the Republic and that it isn't a good place. People suffer under it. The Jedi, you know, he even said, will any meaningful change come of this? And he kind of feels like they paper over the cracks. They're not really fixing anything. And maybe that is part of the weakness that is what makes him susceptible to the dark side and makes him go towards Palpatine. And that whole Sith mindset is almost that, like, he's not doing any good, so then he goes evil. I still don't like him, I still think he's pathetic, but it's a really interesting concept to consider that his path to start moving away from his Jedi ideals and slipping is actually something very different to what we've seen before. So it was a very interesting episode. A reminder that you can find the unedited version of all of my reactions to the Star Wars not movies, but TV shows on my Patreon. And thank you so much for watching.